right. Hey, uh, 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 yo, check it. Uh, we on. This it. You just joined up with my boy Dom, Adam, behind it, Mike. This is Two Detroit Nerds. Welcome. Thank you for signing up and listening to us. It's been a wild journey, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing so many different things to get you the content that you guys need, and today we have an incredible showcase ready to show you guys exactly how much we've been working to bring you the stuff that you guys want to see. What we're should I redo that?
We can redo
It's
it.
rolling. I mean, just read.
Right.
Do it. No, you can. I mean, leave the video.
Yeah, you leave the video and I'll just cut it later.
Just give it another clap and so you know where you're at.
Yeah. All right.
Let me get my shit out of here. Video sounds good. Audio sounds good though.
All right. Cool.
Send me a text when you're done, Mike. I'll try to keep you
All right.
quiet.
I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll
All
count. I'll count to 5.
All right.
So whenever you clap.
Yeah. And we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Two Detroit Nerds. I'm joined with my host,
Dom.
And of course it's me. And behind all the work that you'll never see, but is integral to the creation of this show, we've got Mike.
What up?
Now, we've been working really hard in these past couple weeks to get you guys the exact kind of content breakdowns you want. We've listened to some of you guys' responses to our show, and we're determined now to make the greatest show you've ever seen.
Ever.
This today will be the absolute greatest YouTube fucking podcast you will ever watch. And when it's done, when your room is destroyed, when you've left your family, when you've told her you no longer love her, when all those things have happened, you'll thank us. So let's begin.
Let's get it going.
All right. So I got a lot of stuff on the board here, but I wanted to go back to an old thing we used to do, which was the Who Would Kill Who
Oh, this
segment.
is my favorite blast from the past, bro.
Yeah. Now, we started the Who Would Kill Who segment a while back before we were even doing the video podcast. We were still just audio when we were doing this. And we've gone through a few of them. There may be a few that we repeat this time, but
It's all
hey,
good.
it's for the video, guys. This is for you.
Just to show you guys, whoever's wrong is not going to be wrong twice, and whoever's right, it's going to be right twice. We're here for it.
There it is. So in this segment, we pit two anime characters against each other in a 100% fair, no holds barred fight with the intention of seeing who would actually win. And by win, we mean who would kill the other player. In this experiment, there is a right answer and a wrong answer. It's not some subjective, like, well, I think that. It doesn't matter what you think.
Your opinion does not fucking matter.
Doesn't
These are
matter.
straight facts. If you don't agree, you're wrong.
Exactly. And here we have a lot of these, favorites that come out of the anime universes. Naruto, we've got Vegeta on here, we've got Kuwabara, Yusuke. Some of these names you're going to find to be extremely familiar, and others maybe not so much. And that's why you should go and watch the shows that we recommend. But let's get started.
Let's get it. I'm ready.
All right. First on the battle card here, we've got Kuwabara versus Eren from Attack on Titan.
I already know the answer for this right off the top of my head.
This is the easy one. Yeah.
This is Aaron. This is Aaron for sure. Here's why I say that. When he transforms, he's fucking huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's Kuwabara gonna do to get up there, right? And we're not talking just your average Titan holder. We're talking about Aaron. This man can see into the future. He's probably already, even outside of people who've had their Titans longer, he's probably already better, well equipped, and he's already mastered his much better. Like I said, he's seen into the future. People, at least within the anime community, know how big that is to be able to do with any kind of thing that involves a fight. You can see into the future, you've basically already won, depending on who you are and how strong you are. I say Eren. I don't feel like Kuwabara would be able to cut down Eren quick enough in order to get the one up on him, get the nape of his neck, and kill him. Because although it's already known how to kill a Titan, it's still a very specific way, and it's not necessarily an easy way to kill one, especially when you're fucking hundreds of meters in the air, however tall these things are. And we've seen that. Now, I feel like we've seen something that has at least better physical strength that Eren has went up against, that he made light work of. Obviously with the help from others, but if we're talking current feats, one manga and anime is finished, the other manga is finished, the anime is on its way to being finished. We can include everything by now. Eren's taking this. I feel like not easily. This would be a mid to high difficulty, I feel as though, because you know, Kuwabara is not Noho at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I know his compared to his counterparts in the show, obviously he's probably not the most well liked, but he's got enough power to hold his own. But I think this just ends with Eren eventually eating him or just stomping him to oblivion.
Yeah, it will end one of those two ways, and that is the correct answer. It was Eren. A lot of times people can get very confused when they think about these two characters because you're saying to yourself, well, obviously Eren's gonna win because he's got all this, power of the Titan behind him. But we forget that Kuwabara is able to take energy out, into himself from thin air and continue to strengthen himself in times of extreme danger. So if Kuwabara felt like he was possibly going to die by fighting Eren, then he would fight his absolute hardest.
For sure.
And if he fights his absolute hardest, that turns into a pretty rough fight for Eren to win. But
For sure.
ultimately,
For sure hard.
Right, you see Aaron transform into the Titan, you're definitely going like,
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
know,
give
walk
it
in the
all I
park
got.
now.
Yeah.
You're thinking you're fighting a regular guy
the
who
fuck?
maybe is just smart, turns into this huge monster you will, in Kuwabara's case, has never seen before. I mean, it might not strike him too harshly because of the things that he's used to dealing with on the regular. I mean, this man fights demons, devils all the time. They handle this kind of stuff. But like I said, even with the Spirit Sword, I just don't feel as though he's got enough in his arsenal to take this. I mean, Eren's consumed, at least anime-wise right now. I won't be the guy to spoil anything. Right now in the anime, I think he's consumed 2 to 3 other Titans. I know he's got the Warhammer Titan, and he's the Attack Titan, and I feel like he's got one more. Maybe not. Maybe he's just got the 2. Either way, having the Warhammer on top of any other Titan is absolutely OP. This is not a Titan that you guys are used to seeing if you don't know what I'm talking about. This is a Titan that can materialize weapons, materialize battle armor. It is literally made to go fuck shit up. Almost to the same level as the Colossal Titan, just obviously not with the same area range of destruction. So, like I said, Eren takes his stub for sure.
So that's a win for Eren. Second one, Kid Buu or Chainsaw Man guy.
Easily Kid Buu.
Okay.
Not even a second thought in my head. Here's what people need to understand.
Okay, Dom, I gotta tell you. Are you sure that's your final answer?
100,000,000%. There's absolutely zero doubt in my mind.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why, too.
Let us know.
You want to know why?
Let's hear it.
So when we're talking about these fights, you got to go off of feats.
Okay.
Feats are probably the number one component to proving who would win and why they would win. Not in every case, but I would say at least 97% of the cases. So we've seen a Kid Buu that, first and foremost, I already had this conversation with you before, too, about Dragon Ball characters. It's almost unfair to pit them against any other character that's not an omnipotent being, a god level being right now, just because of how Dragon Ball Z characters scale. We've seen Kid Buu, who is not the strongest version of Buu, but the most reckless. He's got no thought in his mind. He's absolutely insane. He's crazy in the head. He doesn't think outside of killing and destroying, right? So, although he scaled down a little bit from Super Buu, we've seen Super Buu with little to no effort throw ki blasts and attacks within the air and destroy a planet within seconds. Destroyed everybody on the planet. So, we're talking planetary from what we've seen, more than likely to assume upon. This is a galaxy level, if not universe level character we're talking about. Just because of how simple of a task it was to destroy a planet without even being close to full strength. So the reason why I say Kid Buu is he can survive in space. He can transform you into chocolate and eat you. He can absorb you. Yeah, I mean, it's like with how they made him, as played down as it might have been during the ages of Dragon Ball, when you were just watching, you were thinking in your head, this is just another enemy that they're going to overcome. You really lay his feet down, it's absolutely insane. He almost takes no damage. They literally had to kill him with the strongest move they've ever showcased in Dragon Ball, which was the Spirit Bomb, which is not necessarily a destructive force, dangerous, but any being with evil intent that is actually a bad being, it just completely wipes away their spirit. So that's what kills them. It's not actual physical harm that he takes that gets him out of there. So I haven't seen anything like that close in Chainsaw Man yet. I have not read Chainsaw Man. I've only watched it. Read a tiny bit, not much past the first season. And I haven't even seen the only character that would come somewhat close, and I'm not saying to beating him, to maybe lasting a little bit longer was what's the old girl's name? What's the girl that brings him into the Force's name? Is it Ma? That's not Mahaki. With the orange hair. Regardless of what her name is, her power absolutely had me mind blown because I already knew she was going to be OP, but nothing was even close besides the devils that they're fighting to even being like a city level threat. And when I say threat, I mean with ease can destroy that city with their power. So Kid Buu wipes, bro. Kid Buu, matter of fact, Kid Buu solos the verse.
Okay.
Think about
That's
this.
crazy.
Think about this.
Bold claim.
Is anybody in that verse gonna be able to fight with a Super Saiyan 3 Goku? Not even hold their own, not even give an ass whooping, just fight with. And when I mean fight, they're not getting one-shotted on rip.
Chainsaw Man guy.
Absolutely not.
Chainsaw Man guy.
He's getting decimated, bro.
He would lose a few times, and then he would win. It would take him a couple of losses.
What is he doing to win?
I think
Because again, Kid Buu will not take any physical harm from his power. That kind of defeats his whole thing.
The thing is that when you're dealing with the amount of things that the Chainsaw Man guy, I forgot his name, Denji can inflict on you simultaneously all at one second. You're talking about like almost like a system overload for the person who is being attacked.
Yeah.
Like it's very hard for you to be able to defend yourself against like this endless barrage of, cycling blades that can just rip you to shreds.
I agree. And that's if you have flesh. Kid Buu is not flesh.
Right.
Like, I'm telling this is, I promise you, this is exactly, I'll give you two different ways this fight would go with Denji off rip getting murked. Pulls up. Let's set some stipulations for the battle too. Let's just say they're unaware of each other, right? They know nothing of each other. They randomly pop up in an empty battlefield. There's no outside interference. There's no battlefield removal. If you don't know what that means, they cannot. I'll take away the planetary thing. Can't destroy the space within that they're fighting, right? Kid Buu walks up. Like I said, he's absolutely at all times down to throw the hands. He sees you, doesn't even know who you are. You're either immediately getting turned into chocolate, or he's key blasting away, right? So they walk up with Denji. Denji, obviously at the sight of each other, they know it's time to fight. All anime characters, especially main characters, have that sense. It's time to scrap. Denji being how he is, and are we going off of anime feats? That's all you've watched too, right? He's very naive right now.
Yeah,
very
true.
naive, very stubborn.
naive.
He's gonna rush in head first.
Yeah.
What's Kid Buu gonna do? He can stretch his body at will.
Yeah.
He's gonna stretch out, absorb him, end of the fight. That's scenario number one. Instantly, even with the chainsaws. Because listen, keep in mind. This is what you have to understand. What we've seen on screen of his absorption powers, he had a Ultimate Gohan absorbed, who was at the time stated to be the strongest character in the show at that time. He's whooping Denji's ass with ease. He had Goten and Trunks when they were fused, absorbed, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he also had Piccolo, right? They could not break free out of this at all. I don't think Denji's beating any of those characters either. So there will be no difference in him breaking out of that either, because you're now a part of his body and his DNA, and you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he controls his own body. That's the first scenario. Second scenario, Kid Buu walks out, he's bored or insulted that somebody who has a little as strength as Denji does would ever approach him for a fight, actually had the balls to do it. He just key blasts him in the dust. I don't think Denji's fast enough to get out of the way of that either, because you also have to remember Dragon Ball Z characters, and this is Z, this is older, this is not super feats, nothing. Mm-hmm. They were already moving at light speed then. Everybody can teleport. Quick. And they're constantly, there's after images of themselves. I forgot what the exact breakdown was, but I actually seen a video where somebody breaks down, like, in real life terms, how fast you would actually have to move for an after image of your body to show up. It's obviously like physically impossible.
Like faster than light.
It's faster than light, exactly. Yeah. It's physically impossible. Mm-hmm. But they also do that in the show. Denji doesn't, I don't even think, if we're going off the stipulations I gave and they see each other and know what time to fight, he's not even going to have the time to begin to reach for his ignition. He's just dead off for it. Which is also something that not only would overwhelm him, would play against him, because obviously he's stronger when he transforms, because now he's got his devil powers present. Mm-hmm. Kid Buu takes this little to no difficulty.
Well,
yeah,
looks like you're right.
Because I haven't watched Chainsaw Man.
Promise
or
you.
read it.
I promise you.
To my knowledge, is like he has
like
two
that
chainsaw
one,
arms and
Kid
chainsaw
Buu
head.
takes the one.
Me and Adam talked about this before multiple times, you guys, and I told him, unless they're being pitted against other Dragon Ball characters or a few other anime characters that, like I said, are not omnipotent, omnipresent, god beings, whatever it may be, they're losing almost no fight. Literally, like, nobody, like, Luffy's not beating Goku or Vegeta. Them two are soloing the One Piece verse. Soloing. Either one of them. Yeah. I'm telling you, they just literally would pop in instant transmission. They're destroying the planet. Nobody in One Piece can survive in space, and that's where they're going to end up heading after that planet gets destroyed, if they're alive after the explosion.
Here's the reason why
Urameshi
would beat SS2 Vegeta. The reason being, Yusuke will not stop fighting. A lot of these people who Vegeta fights against, usually there's some point in the show where they either have the dialogue in their head or they say it out loud. Like, he's just too powerful. We can't get him.
Yeah, Vegeta gets overwhelmed a lot.
Yeah,
which is a really bad attribute to have, and even as a second fiddle.
Yeah, and what's gonna happen with Urameshi is that he is going to take it to the level that he took it to in season 4 of Yu Yu Hakusho, where he becomes a full demon. At that point, his energy level he's like the king of demons. Like, so he's
right, like his ancestor.
Yeah, that's his ancestor. So, like, when you're talking about that versus like Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, I mean, yeah, Vegeta isn't gonna go down easily, but you're talking about, you know, presumably the strongest being in the Yu Yu Hakusho universe. If you look at some of the other beings in the Yu Yu Hakusho universe as a way to scale it, it shows you how incredibly powerful. Like, Toguro could get, like, turned into dust just by, like, being touched.
Yeah.
By
Vegeta.
By Vegeta.
Oh, by the demon?
By,
oh, yeah.
By the demon king.
Yeah.
Like, so when you're looking at that scale, and then you look at the scale in DBZ, like, you do see that there are some parallels. There are some parts of the scale where certain fighters could cross and fight other fighters, and I do think Yusuke and Vegeta are like those kinds of fighters where they, at certain points in their power, could square off, and one could decisively win.
See, I would have to brush up on Yusuke then. I mean, I have a gist of what he is capable of in that form, but I would have to go back and double check, because literally, bro, it's like, and in no way am I like crediting anybody for this, because Dragon Ball is actually like really shamed within the anime community for their power scaling. They just say it's so inconsistent. It's like they basically call it bullshit pulled out of thin air, which you can't really say. I mean, we're talking fiction here, so you can make up whatever you want. It doesn't have to be factual.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to relate to our fucking real lives that we live, but again, you have to have some sense of understanding, and that's where realism, a little bit of it might come in. But I don't know, bro. I gotta brush up, because, like I said, it depends on what Yusuke has in his arsenal. If he can do shit like just wipe your spirit, like there's certain, Like Vegeta could in all areas still be stronger than Yusuke, but if Yusuke has a certain ability that's just OP, that could win him the fight easily. And I would say that for a lot of other characters if we like when we further get into these topics too, because people think like physical durability and physical strength, if you're like so up on the other opponent that it's an automatic win, and I disagree with that because there's people who aren't able to take hits like that, but if they get you with their power, you're dead. There's like what's my man's name in Yu Hakusho, bro? There's that, it's like in the second season, I think, not Hiei, no, not one of the main characters. Do you remember the episode where they had to go do that test and there was my man's, he's got, I cannot fucking think of his name. He's got glasses on and his power is basically like you're within this room that he creates and if you speak any of the words he says, he captures your soul. Now, that guy, anybody from Krillin from Dragon Ball could probably kick this dude and his body would just blow up, right? Krillin's kind of naive also. So let's say he walked in the room, activates it. Now Krillin's at the disadvantage. He loses that.
Yeah.
Anybody that gets caught in that's, again, not a god or not have been in something like that and broken out of it on their own terms, nobody's beating that. So it's very specific with certain fights, but I don't know. I don't want to say you're wrong for this because I could be wrong on this.
This guy?
No,
it's to do with the glasses.
he looks nerdy.
Yeah. He's got like a purple.
No,
that's the
he's
doctor.
got like almost like
Black hair.
Kuwabara
glasses.
hair.
Yeah.
If you knew, do you know? No, you know, dude, that's Yusuke.
That's Yusuke.
Mike,
never
you
seen the
remember?
show.
You remember Knuckle from Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah.
He kind of looks like him. Like I think he wears a very similar outfit as well. No glasses, bro.
He's got glasses on.
Oh, it didn't look like it from here. That guy doesn't really look nerdy though.
If you type in like season 3,
He's got big hair.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yukaito.
Bro, his power is similar to Law's, but he doesn't hit you in it. It's like if you're caught within his room and like let's say this basement was the room and I told you can't say the word the. After telling you that, you would try your hardest not to say the word, but because of how used you are to speaking, you might slip up and say it. Literally, one time of saying it, your soul just gets pulled out of your body right away.
It's cool power.
He can put it back, but, why would he if he's already got you?
Yeah, no, these are all awesome like thought experiments. It really lets you see how intricately designed these characters actually are.
100%.
And, like, how much thought is put into creating these power levels and getting these characters to become, they start at one end of the spectrum when they're beginning their training in most shonen, and then you see them at the end and they've got all this like hyper power.
Yeah, it's like insane, bro.
And yeah, it's a really satisfying way to tell a story.
I also don't like when I see these discussions, like wherever it is online, and like people like to play the favorite game, which I understand. Nobody wants to see their favorite character lose, but at the same time, be realistic. Like Hunter x Hunter's in my top 5 anime I've ever watched, right? They're not holding up fights against a majority of anime.
Yeah, no.
And it's because of how their power works. Now, it's still at an earlier level of this show, so I understand where they could get with it. Obviously, they get, towards the end, if it ends. Please, God, let it end. You have an idea of how strong they can become, but it's like, there's a lot of things that are shown that lets you know who would really be at the top of these battles and who wouldn't. Like speed feats, strength speeds, just any other feats they have outside of their personal powers, what they use, how many people they fought, who they fought. Like there's a lot of shit that really goes into it when it comes down to these. And like you said, there is a right and wrong answer. No favorites here.
Yeah, very, very much so. So I love that segment. We're going to keep coming back to it a lot more just because...
I'm going to do some.
Yeah, you got to do some, and you got to, ask
Get some ready for you, yeah.
But that was mainly our anime segment for today. We have some video game things we can talk about, and we've got a few other media-related issues to discuss, but I wanted to do a quick breaking news segment for you guys, just to get the thought experiment rolling that I want to demonstrate here. So everybody at this point has heard about the train derailment in Ohio. The toxic gases, the controlled burns, all of that. What a lot of us probably didn't know was that about a year ago, Netflix released a film called White Noise. Has anybody heard of this?
I actually did just hear about, not the movie itself, I just heard about the controversy behind this because I read a post on it, and I was just like, I was mind blown.
Like,
Couldn't
it was
believe what I
like
was
shot in East Palestine.
It
and,
was shot about a mile away from where the original or where the actual event occurred. It was about a train derailing and toxic chemicals getting into the area, and it's about a family who has to evacuate and the zany things that they go through as they evacuate. This was a year ago, and now
Yeah.
we're in that exact area with the exact thing happening. I read a quote somewhere that said coincidences don't exist. There's only the intersection of willpower, expertise, and determination. Like those three things is when
I
something
agree.
happens. Otherwise, to say something is a coincidence, you're not describing it. You're just saying something happened.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
It also invites the idea that nothing else is factored into that, which is
Yeah, like
absolutely false.
Yeah.
There's no outside like for something to be coincidence, which is damn near in the same plane as like something random. That's kind of a coincidence would randomly happen.
Yeah.
Random has to be nothing factored in at all. That's truly what random means. People don't really know that, and it's kind of blows my mind that people can see stuff like this, right? And just think, okay, how would there be a coincidence that you mean to tell me they randomly shoot this movie that close to where the actual site of the event happened? Probably damn near shot for shot exactly how it went down, because movies like to get as close to real life as they do. You mean to tell me that's a coincidence? I mean, you would basically have to be looking away from what you know is and what isn't right in front of your face, in my opinion. Maybe they want to believe coincidence. Maybe they like to trick themselves and just think there's no way anybody would do something like this. There's no way this would happen.
I would wager that most people, when brought to that kind of information, tend to look at it almost humorously as like, oh, wouldn't you know?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I think what that expression is really telling us is that it doesn't fit into the sort of approved paradigm that they're comfortable living their lives within. Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't have happened. So therefore, I'm just gonna look at this as some sort of somewhat humorous event that I won't attribute any other outside reasonings or implications around. I'm just going to leave it in this bubble of
Yeah, because we're past that, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, we know. I mean, not saying there's like these secretive, like otherworldly things going on, which some things I do believe, but we know why stuff like this happens. Like if you don't, and it's not like some complex idea, it's not some reason that you just can't fucking wrap your head around. It's clear as day. The average person is not giving a fuck about. So anything outside of what we want to happen that does happen was already thought of, considered, and it was still done anyways. With most of these events, and people don't want to grasp that idea. They want to believe everything is good that they're not seeing. They want to believe everything happening not around them is just the way they would picture it being, as opposed to really taking a look and seeing this is the reality. Yeah. This shit happens. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for a train to derail on its own. It's very possible. Probably more possible than this happening, I would say. But do you guys really think that's the case here? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what level of comfort within your civilization do you want to have? Like, do you want to feel comfortable within your civilization, or do you want to ask a question? Do you want to ask questions that might make things less comfortable for you?
Yeah.
That, I think, is what a lot of people are faced with, and being faced with more so over the past couple of years. And I see a lot of people choose the option of, no, I'm not going to ask the question.
They follow along with what they're told to follow along.
And hey, who can blame them?
More power too. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I would never judge anybody that does that, because you truly have to understand there are people on this earth that can handle that kind of information or that kind of sense of reality, and those who don't. I would never look down on anybody for that. Just keep your eyes open. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, just keep
your
eyes
attention.
open.
Pay attention to what's in front of you.
So that was our news segment. Just keep your eyes open, ladies and gentlemen. So one of the other things that we haven't done in a while, I wanted to just do a quick one of, is our race science laboratory. This is a segment where we usually pick somebody in the room and we ask them, based on their racial classification, what their life was like and sort of who they are. It's kind of a personal milieu of them through race. So I think it makes sense since I brought it up that we just do me. Yeah.
We should do you.
All right.
So
You got to ask the questions.
I do have questions because there's a lot of stuff that I never got the most chances to talk to you about. So first and foremost, just give people a little bit of background about your ethnicity, where your family comes from, your ancestors, all that. Let these people know that don't know yet.
Yeah. So on my father's side, I am African American. He did his genealogy test and found out he was from somewhere that is now Mali, I believe, and Nigeria, which is very common. These two ethnic groups, particularly Nigerian ethnic groups, would be the most common for African Americans living today, and Ghanaians as well. So that was sort of no surprise. My 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 mother's side is Amhara Ethiopian, so they emigrated here in the 70s. They were living in Ethiopia under the the last emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, who was deposed by communists, and during that whole sort of ensuing war, they fled the country and moved to the western side of the world. And that sort of mixture of a very ancient Eastern African, very religious type of society with the African American side of my life, I would say, is what allows me to be what's the best word to put this? To be very comfortable in a lot of different spaces. I'm very easily able to adapt to different cultures that I have to find myself in.
Yeah.
So being from those cultures and being exposed to many different parts of the world at a very young age, and many different ways of life, it definitely gives me an appreciation for humanity that I wish, when I talk to my friends like back home in Maryland who like have never left the town that we all grew up in, like something I wish I could like bring back with me and give them.
Yeah.
Like it is such a gift to see humans, of all kinds, and living and loving and learning and fighting and all that shit, and get that perspective. And that's definitely the biggest, I would say, contributor to the way that I sort of see myself.
You'd really be surprised too at how many people don't get to experience that in life.
No.
Like, I know most people say, lifetimes aren't that long, and I'm sure, you waste a lot of it is. But really, when you think about it, the average life, if you're doing shit, a long amount of time passes by. And to actually think that there are people out here that don't have much human interaction outside of where they're from, where they're stationary at, whatever it might be, it's mind-boggling to me, because I see so many different people a day just from where I work, not even traveling too far outside of where I live, where I'm always at, anything like that. So what's so normal to me, to some people, would probably just be like a jump off a cliff, or they wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot, and I feel like it slightly is a problem, because when you forcefully do have to go out into society, which everybody does at some point or another, unless you're just locked in a fucking shed or something. Yeah, like you're just never making it outside. Like you need these skills. You need to have the understanding of being able to talk to people, or just at least somewhat civilly getting by. Maybe a slight hello, a wave, whatever it may be. But yeah, I have another question. Unless you got one. If you got one.
No, I was gonna say like too, like being like, are your parents second generation?
So my mom is from the country. Like she's first.
So you're second generation.
I'm second generation.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like how, and like your dad's side was already here.
Yeah, my dad's side was already.
Yeah,
here.
I wonder like how is like how different those two sides are, yet like also like.
But it still had similarities and things to connect on.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Because that's like someone that doesn't like get exposed to different cultures. I wonder like how if they're like missing out on a lot of stuff. Like how even though like it's vastly different, it's like still very similar.
Very similar, yeah.
It's more so where they are and
like
what
how
they're experiencing.
how was that for like an Americanized black family, I guess. Like Americanized, like they've been here versus like immigrants.
Yeah. Definitely I would say the biggest similarities would be they are both cultures that are big on family. So Southern Black culture, you got a big family,
Yeah.
and they're your friends, like
Yeah.
your best friends are your cousins and your
Mm-hmm.
brothers. Big family meals and dinners. You know, all that kind of stuff lined up perfectly with my Ethiopian side because that was how they, sort of
Oh,
structured
yeah.
themselves. Big families, big emphasis on respecting elders, big emphasis on order, big emphasis on, families living near each other, seeing
Mm-hmm.
each other very, very
Did a lot of them
frequently.
move from Ethiopia
Yeah,
like
so
at the same time?
yeah, so it happened in waves, right? So my mother was able to get out of because first she had to go to Kenya because um, during the sorry, we got some noise difficulties
Yeah.
over there. During the what was called the Derg, it was the communist overthrow of the government in Ethiopia in the 1960s. There was like sectarian violence, things
Yeah.
popped off.
Yeah.
And during that time she had to flee to first Kenya, continue going to school. She was about 16 during this time. So she had to continue like going to school. So she finished school in Kenya. Then I had two uncles who were living. I'm skipping so much by the way, but it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, you gotta
then
keep it.
yeah, I gotta keep it short. I had two uncles that were sort of what's a good way to put them? They were hippie kind of vagabond types. So
Like like 60s era,
yeah, 60.
like counterculture.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so. And they were living in Miami at the time. So when my mom was ready to leave Kenya, she moved in with them in Miami. And the three of them stayed in Miami for the rest of the time. Like I was born in Miami, basically. So the other sisters and brothers and my grandparents, it was like this stream of people coming in, once every couple of years. People, bankrupting themselves to get tickets to bring people
Yeah.
into the country. It was basically any resource they were able to muster up themselves, meaning the people in America, they would use those resources to bring more people out of that
Yeah,
situation.
get their,
in Ethiopia.
get their family.
That's
over.
nuts.
Yeah, to get their family out of there. Yeah, so eventually they all landed in Miami, and I have seven aunts or six aunts and one uncle, and I have both my grandparents. I knew the whole since I was a little kid.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that took them a while just getting back together. And what I said before, family being so important to them, the sacrifices that each of them had to make to rejoin and reintegrate the family together was massive. It really is a story in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The waves that you were mentioning, around that same time, that's when my grandpa's side, the Chaldean side of the family, was also immigrating here. And it's actually just crazy because it's literally the exact same process. Like, I'm sure there's certain exceptions, but I feel like any immigrants that we're coming to, because I thought that was like just how it went down in Michigan at the time. Must have been that anywhere immigrants are coming. So it's kind of crazy to see like from a lot of different countries. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not like a lot of these, first and foremost, not like a lot of these countries were thriving, rich countries at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't just shitting bread on the fucking plane ticket, getting over here like it was no problem. No, they were like scrapping, saving
like
every last, like you said, bankrupting themselves. So it's just crazy to hear the Ethiopian side of your family, the Chaldean side of my family, literally did that same exact thing. That's how it was. Like, and it just really blows my mind because, like, I live in America. If I travel to another country and I go and see how they live, I would experience culture shock. That's just off of a visit. Imagine you're moving your whole life to a whole other part of the world.
You can't go back.
You're not. Yeah, you're not going
Like-
back. Like there's no question that just, and at the ages you said your mom was 16 when she had to move around. My grandpa was around. He was a little younger than that, but still, I'm like, man, like I think of like the toughest time I had as a kid at like 15.
Yeah.
Not even fucking close to something like that, like at all. But you're. It's almost a choice as if it's not your choice. You have to go. It's either something bad's about to happen or you got to go and basically restart in these cases, not in all cases.
And what's so incredible, like you hear a typical immigrant story, just in general, right? They're going to tell you, oh, I always wanted to come to America. America was the place. you talk to Ethiopians, they're like, before the communists came, we were fine. Like no
Yeah.
one wanted to go to America.
Yeah.
We watched their favorite show was Bonanza and Star Trek and
Yeah.
shit. So they would watch it on TV and they're like, oh, America is where people ride horses and John Wayne and all that stuff. And they had no desire to ever want to leave their country, and then something happens, and then they're like, well, I guess we're moving to that place we saw on TV that one time.
That's
Like,
the same thing in my family's case too.
Yeah.
It was
That's
like,
a lot of places,
here's
too.
something that always blew my mind too. Not to get sidetracked, I'll make it short. So me growing up, going to school, you learn about guys like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, and obviously every country, majority of countries are going to teach history the way that they want you to believe these people are who they are and what they did and all that. And this, I'm going to bring it all back to what you just said too about not wanting to leave. This was when I was older, obviously, but I always used to have talk with my grandpas about things, and he told me when Saddam Hussein was still in power in Iraq, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. He said everybody was happy, everybody had money, everybody lived good. And, they painted this guy over here a picture of being like this fucking dictator, this piece of shit.
The CIA backed him to like get in power.
Right, but they still swayed that narrative within the media, right? So having talks with my grandpa, he said like things got bad when Osama came into power over there. It had nothing to do with Saddam, and like that's when everybody wanted to leave. So it's literally when you start, if we like started talking to people from all different ethnic backgrounds, I guarantee you there's going to be a similar, if not same story for why everybody migrated to America. When you really think about it,
I mean, yeah,
with how many things America has had their hand in, keep in mind, they brought this.
No.
This wasn't just that country on its own decided, let's go to war, let's do this, we're going to do it. No, there was America, and almost every war had their own hand in it for a long time now.
I mean, you could like make a stretch and say like, that's just more money for the economy.
1,000,000%. You got to think of what gets brought over here with immigrants. It's not just the people themselves, bro. You got their cultural backgrounds, their family traditions, things that they're good at that people in America wouldn't be good at. Like that's, and it's way deeper than them few things I just mentioned. I mean, you got to think of what kind of food was brought here from immigrants being forced to come here. We never would have had food like that. I mean, maybe it would have been a country to be traveled to, but people living here, you bring everything you know that you were raised on with you, regardless.
Yeah,
Unless it's bad shit.
I feel like, I mean, even now it still happens. Like immigrants are coming over.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's definitely the thing to
like,
do.
Like the first half of the 1900s and before, like 1800s, like, a lot of people were probably, and even like, now like leave war-torn countries. Like that's how my grandparents got here.
No, that's
They
what I'm
left,
saying. Yeah, at some point or another, it was the same
in
thing.
between World War I and II, like as World War II was happening. They left because fucking
No,
the
like think
Nazis
about.
took over.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a different case
the
there.
communists
Exactly.
took
Yeah.
over there and like.
Yeah, it's the stories that you hear really paint a picture of humanity that is so similar. It's almost like no matter who you're talking to, they're telling you the same
thing, the
same
same
story.
experiences, the same
It
history.
may have different flags underneath it and different names attributed to what caused what, but it really is this sort of story of exodus, like leaving in the 20th century. Like that was what was going on. It was a century of exodus. But I
just have a question. Is there like a big Ethiopian population in Miami?
No, all the Ethiopians you'd meet in Miami are related to me. So
Hell yeah, that bloodline strong down there.
I mean, you said you got seven aunts and one uncle. I got like, well, I guess, but that's just on one side, right? On your mom's side?
Yeah, just on my mom's side.
I got like 4. I think it's the most.
I got a lot. My
or
grandpa.
Three.
I have a lot of great
siblings.
aunt and uncles. My grandpa's siblings, there was 7 or 8 of them. So in that case, I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
And then the next generation down, I have two uncles through blood.
Yeah, sometimes big families, like to me, are just kind of like a culture shock almost.
Yeah, because
like,
you're getting so much at once.
Yeah,
like if I
'cause,
came
like,
here for dinner, right?
It's
and
crazy.
Like
It's crazy that when someone
parents,
says like, "Yeah, I got 7 siblings, 8 siblings."
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
it is because you're used to
like
2.
2 or 3. Yeah, I guess.
But that again, that's an Americanized thing.
Yeah.
That is like not saying they swayed people or taught them differently, but it was more normal to not have that big family.
Yeah.
Like majority of the big families were immigrants.
Yeah.
They were already coming over here with their big families like that. So I don't know, but I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it before, but this will be very good for this.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to Ethiopia, and if so, how was it?
Mm-hmm.
And would you go again?
Yes, and it was incredible. So I went in 2010. In Ethiopia in 2010, the scaffolds were just going up in the major cities, all coming out of Chinese investment to completely rebuild and update most of the major cities' urban structures. So what you would see on a skyline of Addis Ababa, which is the main capital of Ethiopia in 2010, would be the same type of scaffolding you'd see in like downtown Manhattan or in downtown LA, like not the same types of buildings, but the same fervent construction. Like there are big buildings going up. And you didn't see that in East Africa for a long time, given that there had been a number of wars and famines through the 80s and 90s. So that's what I was going there to expect, by the way. I was not going there to expect to see this economic boom. I was going to expect to see beggars and, people living in huts and, the typical idea of what you think third world, specifically an African third world country was. What I saw was kids my age who had no intention of ever coming to America, had their cell phone, corporate job, whatever, nice apartment, living in the city, bachelor kind of lifestyle. So the median age in Ethiopia is 30. So most people you're going to run into are young people.
Yeah.
So you have this whole section of the society that are reinvesting into that society. They're not trying to get their education and then run off to Europe or run off to America. They want to stay there and they want to build there. And that was in 2010, and I saw an incredible preservation of this. Is something you don't see in a lot of other African countries. Because a lot of other African countries, they speak the language of their colonial power. You see the disappearance of a lot of their social customs or a lot of their traditional artifacts. It just kind of goes away along with the language. In Ethiopia, that wasn't the case. Ethiopians speak Amharic, which is a 2,000-year-old language that has existed in that area for that amount of time and has its own written script. So as a result of that, Ethiopians are extremely insulary. Their world is the Ethiopian world. They don't have they'll learn English if they have an international job, right? They'll learn English if they go to an international university, but they don't need to know English. They're fine knowing their language and existing in their country. One of the other things was the music scene and the nightlife, and this is coming reports from my sister when she went back in 2018, and she said all the buildings now are finished. It's cleaner, and we lived in LA, so we can say this. It's cleaner than downtown Los Angeles. The downtown area of Addis Ababa, I'm saying this on the air, is cleaner and prettier than downtown Los Angeles.
I believe it.
Yeah, I can believe it for sure.
And this is in what everybody wants to say. Oh, Africa though, so poor, they ain't got shit. Go to Addis.
They don't know, bro.
And it's I want people to not know.
Yeah.
It's the same way I feel about Detroit. Like I don't want people to know how cool.
Because they're gonna come ruin it.
They're gonna come and ruin it. But
like always.
But the music scene, they don't listen to drill rap. They're not listening to I'm gonna shoot a nigga, I'm gonna kill a nigga. They don't listen to that. They listen.
What is the music scene?
The music scene there is like tech house.
Oh, yeah.
They're traditional Ethiopian music, dance music, and then obscure minimal club dance music.
Yeah.
Like,
that's dope, bro.
the
They probably
club-
fucking
the
get
club
down
vibe,
there,
yeah,
bro. I
they get
bet.
down.
Super sweet.
Probably change your fucking life going there one night, bro. Be nothing like it is over here. And I'm
I
not
mean,
talking shit about Mission Coast,
And
but
I bet you the mix of traditional Ethiopian music and
Yeah.
Probably
club music,
bombs.
house music.
yeah,
it's probably sick.
it's
I'm gonna have to go, bro.
it's an experience.
Let's set up a trip.
Yeah, I'm serious.
So serious. I might
I'm
be fucking
serious.
around.
Yeah, I have a friend that went to Ethiopia with Peace Corps.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know what, and he went.
John?
Yeah,
Where'd he go?
he went to Ethiopia.
Oh, yeah, I know, but where in? Like the city? or?
No,
I'll
he
tell
was
you why we're laughing off the air.
He was
Okay.
2 hours away from the capital.
Oh, okay, so he was.
I
in
don't
like
know
a country.
exactly what city. He said he lived up in like the mountains a little bit.
Oh, okay, so
Like it was like a village.
rural, like
Yeah,
kind
rural.
of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, like he explained like his bed situation,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
he was eating.
He was living in like
Yeah.
a village,
shit
but he
like
said
that.
the downtowns were like downtowns
Yeah.
in America.
Yeah,
like,
they're
they were-
normal.
Well,
like
third world
city-
countries
they were,
just
like, main
painted
city.
so badly here. Like,
Yeah,
and I hate the word third world country because that automatically
I think that's just like an economic thing.
but that's the problem. It's just not
But the kind
geographically as economic as we are. So there's still the areas that are just as well made and put together. There's just not as many in a lot of those
and they
countries.
don't. Yeah, make
But
as
third world
much.
paints a picture of like you were saying, like dirty.
Yeah.
Like they're like not like cavemen, but like they're below us. They live by means that are much lower than ours. Which, I mean, they do, but not in judgmental way. Like they would be looked down upon for the way that they live when realistically they're probably much happier living the way that they do as opposed to us. We think we have everything here and we're still not satisfied or fulfilled or
And
happy.
that's the last thing I'm gonna say about Ethiopia is the level of happiness. People, when you have a friend in Ethiopia, they're your friend for life. There's people, grown men, you'll see walking down the street holding hands with another man, and you're like, what's going on over there? It's because they're that close of friends that when they see each other, they embrace each other.
Yeah,
There's-
that would-
there's yeah, it would
That would
look-
never fly
It
here.
would never fly here.
you do that, you're automatically
I mean, there's
getting the gay rumors.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
done. Yeah, it's
That's it. You're gay.
yeah.
but it shouldn't be like that. You know?
It
You
It
should be
shouldn't
able to
because it
show,
really like I'm not saying like, oh bro, let's go walk down where we look holding our hands, you know, but I know what you mean. There's,
I mean, I
there's a
guess,
double edged
here
sword
it's
when
like,
it comes
you know,
to
here it
men
would
and
probably
women.
be like
Like if we seen two
putting
women
your
doing
arm
that here,
around
it'd
your
be
boy.
normal.
Like
Right.
putting your arm around your boy.
Yeah,
You know, like
I wouldn't be embarrassed to do that.
Yeah, it's probably got like the same meaning, but like holding hands is definitely.
It's a little
frowned
more
upon
sentimental.
in
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
But it shows you like there's this intimacy that we look at as being like,
Sexual.
like
we look at it as being sexual, and it's
right?
not.
But it's not. It's just
Yeah.
it's just intimacy of love. It's just the intimacy of
I'm that
Like,
comfortable.
caring
I
that
feel
much
that-
about
yeah, I
another
care
human.
that much about this
Yeah.
person. Yeah, and I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of really not stressed out people. Incidentally, you would think a country where there is a lot of economic problems. There are a lot of infrastructural problems. There's a lot of political problems there. It's not a perfect utopia, but you don't see people stressing out.
Can I ask something?
What?
Do a lot of people in Ethiopia not watch the news and stay updated with shit like that?
Now, because of social
Yeah.
media,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's a little more
now they
made its way in there.
Yeah, definitely. But I would say one of the things they do, they have a really great ability to do. This is from their own historical knowledge. Is they do not like to do this thing where something bad happens in their country and they're like, we need the West to come and help us because
You're
they,
making it somebody else's problem, letting them also know what's going on in your place.
They keep it internal. Like they don't like to have intervention. Countries coming in doing
You
intervention.
should watch
I think-
Apocalypto.
Yeah.
If you've
That's
never
a
seen it,
shame.
there
I
is a
haven't seen
literally what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the scene because I want you to watch it, and I know how you are about movies.
Yeah.
Like, there's something that they come across. Let's just say there's a problem that's going to arise, and that is almost word for word what somebody gets told about why it's a bad thing. Just watch it. You'll know exactly what scene I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Isn't Ethiopia the only like African country not to be colonized?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
Damn. That's bragging rights right there, bro.
and that's one of the reasons why they are so weary towards Western aid, because they understand somebody says they're going to come and fix a sectarian problem. That's got nothing to do with them. They're gonna get something out of that.
I was gonna say they're not gonna do that without a cost.
Yeah, they're going to find some way to extract
I mean, you just
something.
look at
out
like the way the European kingdoms back in like the 1800s, early 1900s, like fucked over like a lot of the African
Yeah.
oh yeah.
countries. Like I can't think of the German ruler at the time.
Called colonizers for a reason.
No, Democratic People's
Republic of Congo.
of Congo.
You're thinking
Like
of
it was like surf.
you're thinking of Leopold.
Leopold II.
Leopold II.
Yeah, and like like you see that happening, and like you're like definitely why would I ever trust
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a European government,
Not at
like a king or a queen or
Exactly. And and their pride for how much they've been able to, especially during those integral moments in history. The last emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, was what by today's standards you would consider him almost like a pro-Ethiopian, to the point where he was almost kind of like a fascist. Like he really he was hyper national, and there's good and bad to that. But one of the goods is that he didn't really take shit from like, you know, European, where you see some of these other African governors or African leaders, you know, kind of kowtowing to England, or letting France take all of their resources. Oh, you know, you're helping us with our poverty, so take everything that we have. Haile Selassie was like, I don't want any white person anywhere near Ethiopia ever, and that was such a stark difference, and he stood out for that kind of rhetoric, and it was something that emboldens a lot of Ethiopians to this day. I mean, they had a powerful leader that wasn't afraid to speak to power and say on their behalf, you know.
And the power of the leader trickles down to the people always, bro. You got a good example to follow by. That's what it's going to lead with every time.
Is Ethiopia like the most populous country in Africa?
The second, I believe. There's about 100 million people in Ethiopia, but it's its own world. It's on its own frequency.
Yeah, it'll be sweet too. I like one of my friends I used to work about LA with. He's like, man, you got to go to Yemen.
Really?
And obviously, like, they're in a civil war.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know, that might be
might be not
might
the
be
move
hard
right
for
now.
me. It might be like, you know, easier for you to go back and visit. But he said it's, you know, it's like super beautiful, and like he's like, you know, like you could stay with me, my family, you know, you would be like welcome, like that shit would be super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta figure, bro, like nowhere on earth is gonna be all bad.
Yeah.
And definitely not stay all bad. Some places are definitely worse than others. Don't get me wrong,
like
but
political strife
yes,
and like violence is, you know, definitely like
that's where your problems arise.
Definitely like, you know, I wouldn't want to be traveling to
no,
a country
fuck
like
no.
that.
I don't want to go nowhere where it's illegal to dance on the street or kiss a girl on the street. Like, fucking get locked up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is normal where I'm from. Yeah, I'm good. I might run in that.
But yeah, it's, you know, it's like it's crazy how like I think like skewed like a lot of people like that don't go or like have in their families like different cultures or like experience different cultures, like how their view is of like countries that aren't you know America or Europe.
Yeah, no, it's incredible,
like, especially like Africa or the Middle East.
Yeah, I think the one of the biggest things that got me down my whole road of being a conspiracy nut was really going to Ethiopia in 2010 and realizing, holy shit, I've been lied to about what's going on over here. Like, everything I ever read growing up about Ethiopia was starvation, poverty, death, you know, war, and then you go there and it's literally the happiest place I've ever been.
Bro, I learned that as well. I learned that some years ago, just being at work. I mean, we send money through Western Union where I work, so we get a lot of different people from all over the world that moved to America. They've been living here for some years. They always go and visit home and they send money back because obviously their dollar here is worth way more. Like, take Ghana for example. Again, most African countries, even throughout school, we were kind of taught what you just explained Ethiopia to be, how a lot of these are. They're like more poor, they don't have as much, all these things, just because they don't live the same way we do. So speaking with these people firsthand, these are people who are going 2-3 times a year to these places. These are people who grew up in these places, that actually live there and experience things. And I'm always told the opposite of what I was led to believe. Now, whose fault is that? Mine. I chose to believe what I did, but I'm telling you, like, and it's crazy because it's always explained the same way to me. It's always, you know, just like here in Michigan, you know, you have some bad areas, but they said the majority of it is beautiful. They also tell me it's not too much different from how it is here. It's just kind of your landscapes. Obviously, things like your climate in these areas would be different. Yeah, and like, there's obviously the cultural differences. You know, like you can probably go somewhere in Africa and see many more wild animals than you would here. That's because we have everything's fucking city here, so you hit up north. Yeah. So I get it. I don't have no like, I don't have any pre-opinions of anywhere anymore that I want to travel to, and I definitely used to have those because I'm like, how is it gonna be? What would I do? Thinking it's all bad there, but I know it's not.
This guy I work with from Vietnam, he's Vietnamese and Chinese, but he like fled Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and came here, and he's like it was like pretty fucked up back then.
Oh, I bet.
And he's like he was a paper like he lied about his age so he could like keep his paperboy route and like not have to go fight against North Vietnam and like the Americans.
Smart.
And then like left Saigon probably when it got like overran. And he said like he's been back now and it's like
Completely different.
yeah, like way different. Like
Bro, hearing those stories makes you think of like a fucking
but it's like a lot
story
of that,
mode
a lot
on
of
a
that
video game.
what kind of government is Ethiopia?
Ethiopia is technically a democratic republic, but I mean,
Is it like communist socialist or
no, they got rid of
more like authoritarian?
It's an authoritarian democratic
Okay.
republic, is what I would say.
Yeah, so like a lot of those, I feel like people I also have a friend that like his family fled to Australia when Pol Pot was taking over Cambodia, and like
Yeah.
a lot of times it's like people are leaving it like might and like what we were taught in school it might have been bad then, but like they don't
I doubt they
like
do
what
that
the
now.
situation is now.
It's yeah,
Like,
but
it's all-
that's
like, you
also
always
probably
learn about,
because it's not
like,
accepted
like-
and the introduction of the internet.
Yeah,
Because
and like
they can't just sit there and hand feed you
like world history
what's in a textbook now.
in
when
2010
you can go look at. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That wasn't that long.
is like yeah. Well, I mean, 13 years, a lot of shit can happen.
A lot, I'm not.
I mean,
yeah, no, a lot of
but
shit
like
can
it
happen, but
and
to know how much the teachings have changed since then is what I mean.
yeah, and I feel like the American school system is public school system.
I think we're at our hour.
I think we
It
are.
might be
Yeah.
as bad, but like you learn a lot of shit outside of.
Yeah, which is why school is only so good.
All right, party people. This is the end.
Stay in school.
Stay out of school.
That's like an hour, 2 minutes. That's great. Yeah, my one friend that went to Ethiopia. He said it was pretty crazy in the village.
Yeah, bro. Adam, he was on
He said like people would just like fuck all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
We asked him, I was like, "Oh, did you?" It's like,
I mean, yo.
What else you gonna do?
Did he say how hot Ethiopian chicks are?
"Oh yeah, he definitely
said
did. He
said
definitely
cleaned
did."
up as a white dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
As a Peace Corps guy.
I bet. Ethiopian chicks are bad.
Might have to go there.